Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're uncorking a pretty special collection of books.
Mm,
Really your essential reading list if you want to navigate the fascinating world of wine, particularly maybe from a sommelier's angle.
right. And forget wading through endless pages.
Yeah.
We're aiming to pull out the core insights, the stuff you really need to know.
Think of it as your shortcut, yeah, to feeling incredibly well informed about the key resources out there.
Exactly. That's the mission. Distill the crucial knowledge from these really influential texts.
And show why they matter, what makes them valuable, whether you're just curious or, aiming for some serious expertise.
And it's quite a lineup we've got.
It really is. We're jumping straight into Karen McNeil's Wine Bible. I mean, it's famously comprehensive, right?
Okay.
But also known for its engaging style.
Totally. And then, for the visual folks, Wine Folly, Magnum Edition, Puckett and Hammock. Amazing infographics, really practical stuff.
Can't forget the bedrock, though. The World Atlas of Wine. Hugh Johnson, Jancis Robinson. It's kind of the cornerstone for wine geography.
Definitely. But we're not stopping with just the reference guides. We're also getting into the stories.
Oh, yeah.
Like Kermit Lynch's Adventures on the Wine Route,
Mm.
a really personal look at French wine culture,
I love that one.
and Bianca Bosker's Cork Dork,
Yeah.
diving into that whole obsessive sommelier world.
Right, the commitment.
Then there's John Bonnet's The New Wine Rules, which tries to simplify things.
Makes it less intimidating.
Yeah. And we've got some intrigue, too. Benjamin Wallace's The Billionaire's Vinegar, True Crime Meets Rare Wine.
That's a wild story.
Plus, Alice Fearing on Natural Wine for the People,
Hmm.
explaining that whole movement.
Which is really taken off.
Absolutely. And History, Wine and War. The Gladstrups detailing the French wine scene during WWII.
Incredible resilience there.
Then more contemporary stuff. Suzanne Mastasich's Thirsty Dragon, looking at China's impact on Bordeaux.
Which has been huge.
And family history with Piero Antinori's The Hills of Chianti, a Tuscan dynasty.
600 years, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah. And finally, Tira Mazzio's The Widow Clicquot, the woman behind that iconic champagne house.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just a reading list.
No, not at all.
It feels like for anyone serious about wine, whether you're studying, running a restaurant, or just want to get beyond, basic tasting notes, these books offer some really deep knowledge.
And great stories, practical wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. So we're here to unpack what makes each one important and how maybe they fit together to give a richer picture of wine.
Sounds good.
Okay, with this library laid out, where should we pour our first glass, so to speak?
Well, I think a logical place to start is often with that foundational knowledge, right?
Makes sense.
And for that, you really have to talk about Karen McNeil's The Wine Bible. It really does live up to the name.
50.
It is, but it covers everything from terroir, that whole interplay of soil, climate, environment.
Yeah, the sense of place.
Exactly. All the way to really detailed looks at regions across the globe, grape varieties, the nuances.
But what makes it work, I think, is her style.
Yes. She weaves all that expertise together, but it feels almost conversational.
Right. It's not just dry facts. It's like having this really enthusiastic guide showing you around the world of wine.
Totally. And it's a big book, like you said, but it doesn't feel like a chore to read.
No, not at all. She has this knack for bringing places and wines alive with really vivid descriptions. Instead of just saying, oh, it's a red wine, she'll describe the exact color and maybe connect it to the landscape or something.
Yeah, she emphasizes the why, doesn't she? Not just the what of a wine's character.
Exactly. And it's kept current, too. Newer editions tackle things like climate change impacts on vineyards.
Which is crucial now.
Absolutely critical for anyone in the business today.
And if you think about applying this, say, if you're studying for a SOM certification,
Oh, it's essential.
it's the bedrock, right? But even beyond exams, her style is almost a template for how to talk about wine with guests.
That's a good point. Using that descriptive language, that storytelling to make complex wines feel approachable, exciting.
Yeah, it improves the guest experience. Plus, just the sheer breadth of info helps with building wine lists, answering those, curveball questions about obscure bottles.
Okay, so the Wine Bible for that deep, engaging foundation. What about for people who, learn better visually?
Well, then you've got Wine Folly, Magnum Edition, Madeline Paquette, and Justin Hammock. That book was kind of a game changer.
It really was, wasn't it? The infographics, the charts, the maps.
Totally revolutionized how wine info gets presented. It takes stuff that could be really complex, like telling grape varieties apart, or the subtle differences between nearby regions,
Yeah, tricky stuff.
and just makes it visually clear. So easy to grasp. I think that's a key insight, how powerful visuals can be in demystifying wine.
It's amazing how they use visual cues for basic concepts, too. Like, instead of just defining acidity or tannins,
Those structural elements.
right, they use charts, diagrams, so you can literally see the relative levels in different wines.
And connect that to the practical side for a Somm wine folly
Hmm.
is brilliant for training new staff.
Oh, definitely. Speeds up the learning curve.
Massively. For getting those key differences between styles. And it's great for guests, too, right? People who might be put off by traditional wine jargon.
Yeah, showing them a chart can be much clearer. And the maps in Wine Folly, they're super practical. They don't just show the big regions. They zoom into sub-appellations, point out key features.
Which helps us think more granularly, maybe find some unique stuff for the list.
For sure. And another useful bit is how it breaks down label terms from different countries. That can be a lifesaver when you're staring at a confusing bottle.
Okay, so building on that idea of place, we absolutely have to talk about the World Atlas of Wine, Johnson and Robinson.
The magnum opus.
Truly.
Yeah.
It's widely seen as the definitive geographical guide. The level of detail in those maps is just astounding.
It really is.
And the text gives you that crucial historical context, deep dives into terroir,
Right.
expert analysis of the wines. The core idea here, geography profoundly shapes a wine's identity.
Absolutely. The maps aren't just decorative. They show exactly how elevation, soil, water proximity, how it all comes together to shape the wine's character. And having both Hugh Johnson's narrative flair and Jancis Robinson's technical precision
A powerful combo.
makes it authoritative, but still a pleasure to read. And it keeps getting updated, right? Reflecting new regions, climate change impacts.
Yeah, it stays relevant. Now, thinking about the practical value for a Somm,
Indispensable, surely.
totally indispensable for truly getting terroir. Being able to explain to a guest how that specific vineyard spot influences the taste that elevates everything.
Right. It's not just saying it tastes like cherries.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's core material for advanced certifications, obviously, for mastering global regions.
And for finding inspiration, too, right? If you're building a list, the coverage of both classic and up-and-coming areas gives you so many ideas.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. From the Alices and Bibles to something more personal, narrative-driven.
Right.
Kermit Lynch's Adventures on the Wine Route. It's this wonderful look into French wine through the eyes of a really influential American importer.
The classic.
Yeah. And a key takeaway, I think, is that deep connection between authentic wine and the small, dedicated producers making it.
He really champions that, doesn't he? Minimal intervention, wines that speak of their place, the winemaker's passion.
Exactly. And thinking about the sommelier's role again, the Lynch's book is like a masterclass in storytelling. His anecdotes, his descriptions of these, often quite eccentric winemakers, it can inspire sommeliers to go beyond just the technical notes.
Share the story, the human element.
Right. It gives you this deep appreciation for the people behind the wine.
Yeah.
And his focus on smaller French producers. Invaluable if you're curating a list focused on unique, old-world stuff.
Understanding the importer's angle on finding quality, terroir-driven wines is really useful.
And his whole approach feels less stuffy,
Yeah, less pretentious, which works so well today. His emphasis on relationships reminds us wine is about people, connection to the land, adds a richness beyond just analysis.
So another personal journey, but from a different angle, is Bianca Bosker's Cork Dork.
Ah, yes, the deep dive into the Somm world itself.
Right. She immerses herself in this, well, often obsessive world. And a key insight is just the sheer dedication, sometimes the extreme lengths people go to master wine.
It's quite the ride she takes you on.
It is. Her experiences, the intense palate training, working in high-pressure restaurants, it's a funny, sometimes eye-opening look at the commitment involved.
Yeah, as an outsider looking in, she really captures that intense passion that drives so many sommeliers. Her exploration of blind tasting, the training needed. It's fascinating.
Now, the book did stir some debate in the wine world,
It did.
but undeniably, it's a really relatable and entertaining way into a world that can sometimes feel a bit exclusive.
So, for someone thinking about becoming a somm,
It gives a realistic, maybe slightly dramatized, but still realistic glimpse of the hard work, the rewards, the dedication needed.
and her journey training her own palate, looking into the science of taste, there are practical tips in there too.
Definitely. Plus, her engaging style could inspire sommeliers to share their own passion in a more accessible and entertaining way.
Okay, so from the immersive story to something more direct and practical.
Right. John Bunny's The New Wine Rules.
The title says it all, really.
Pretty much. It aims to just cut through all the complexity and offer straightforward, no-nonsense rules for enjoying wine. The main idea, enjoying wine shouldn't be scary.
It should be for everyone.
Exactly. He challenges some old-fashioned ideas, encourages you to trust your own taste.
What sort of rules are we talking about?
Oh, everything from like proper storage and serving temps to food pairing basics, debunking common myths.
Right. So for Assam, how is this useful?
Well, it's great for guest education, I think. The rules are concise, easy to remember.
Quick, relatable explanations.
Yeah, that Assam can share to help diners feel more confident choosing wine. And also good for training general front-of-house staff.
People who need to talk about wine helpfully but aren't necessarily deep experts.
Precisely.
And Bonnet really pushes that idea of enjoying wine without fuss or snobbery. Like his rule, you can drink rosé any time of year.
Yes. Seems simple, right?
But it actively pushes back against those old perceptions. Promotes a more relaxed, inclusive vibe.
Which is definitely a good thing for the industry.
Okay, switching gears again towards something a bit darker, more intriguing.
Yeah, let's talk about Benjamin Wallace's The Billionaire's Vinegar. This reads like a thriller, honestly.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Centered on that supposed bottle of 1787 Lafitte.
With alleged links to Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Sold for an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And the key insight here is the potential for, well, fraud and deception in the high-stakes game of rare wine collecting.
It pulls back the curtain on that world.
It really does. Obsessive collectors, the vulnerabilities in the market for super rare stuff.
It's a gripping read. Wallace meticulously lays out the collector's motivations, how that allure of provenance, of history, can sometimes, cloud judgment.
Raises big questions about ethics, authenticity, the need for serious due diligence with ultra-rare wines.
So the implication for Assam.
It's a critical reminder, isn't it, about the real risks of counterfeits, especially with old, expensive bottles.
Got to verify that provenance.
Absolutely. Exercise extreme caution when sourcing high-end wines for the cellar. Plus, the story itself is just so dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Sommeliers can use those anecdotes. It adds intrigue when talking about fine and rare wines with guests.
Okay, now let's shift to a category getting a lot of buzz, natural wine.
Right. Alice Fearing's Natural Wine for the People. It's a concise, passionate introduction.
What's the core takeaway there?
It's really about minimal intervention winemaking. Often involves organic or biodynamic farming.
Yeah.
That whole holistic vineyard approach.
Considering the whole ecosystem?
Exactly. And rejecting a lot of the common additives used in conventional winemaking. Fearing really clearly lays out the philosophy, the environmental reasons behind it all.
She cuts through the jargon, which can be confusing around natural wine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Explains the core principles, why it's gaining traction, especially with maybe younger drinkers.
So for Assam in a modern restaurant,
Understanding natural wine is becoming pretty vital, right? It's showing up more and more.
you need to be able to talk about it.
Confidently discuss it, recommend it to guests who are curious or already into it, and it taps into that broader interest in sustainable, conscious food and drink.
And Fearing is quite upfront about the fact that these wines can sometimes taste different, right? Unconventional aromas, flavors.
Yeah, she encourages readers to embrace that as part of their character, reflecting their unmanipulated nature.
Which is useful for Assam guiding guests who are new to them, helping them appreciate what makes them distinct.
Okay, how about a historical angle, where wine meets major world events?
Wine and war. Don and Petey Cladstrip.
Such a remarkable story. The French wine industry during World War II, the incredible efforts to save wines from the Nazis.
The sheer cultural significance of wine in France really comes through.
Totally. It's not just a drink. It's like a symbol of national heritage, worth risking everything for.
The stories are amazing, hiding bottles in secret cellars, sabotaging shipments meant for the occupiers.
Incredible resourcefulness, courage. It highlights that deep bond between the French people and their wine traditions.
And it gives such rich historical context for understanding those classic French regions today.
So how does Assam use this?
Well, it's a goldmine of compelling historical stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
Adds depth when presenting French wines. Understanding that cultural weight, the sacrifices made, it adds this layer of appreciation, respect.
Helps contextualize the legacy of places like Bordeaux, Champagne.
Right, okay. Bringing things more up to date, thinking about the global market.
Suzanne Mistasich's Thirsty Dragon looks at China's growing influence, particularly on Bordeaux.
A huge topic.
Absolutely. And the key insight is how that massive demand from China fundamentally changed things, pricing, authenticity concerns, just reshaping the whole Bordeaux market.
It's a critical look at the modern realities of the international wine trade.
Yeah, Mustasic dives into the complexities of globalization, how a huge new market like China can exert such influence on a traditional place like Bordeaux.
So from a sommelier's viewpoint,
Understanding these global forces is increasingly important. Helps you anticipate price shifts, be aware of fraud issues in a globalized market.
provides context for why certain premium wines, especially from Bordeaux, cost what they do or might be hard to get.
Exactly. And it's interesting how themes from, say, the billionaire's vinegar, like counterfeiting,
Take on a new dimension here.
right, seen through the lens of massive global demand. Mustasic offers that contemporary take on the opportunities and challenges.
Okay, what about focusing on a single family's legacy?
Piero Antinore's The Hills of Chianti, subtitled The Story of a Tuscan Winemaking Family in 7 Bottles.
Cool concept.
Yeah, it gives this unique personal view on the Antinori family's 600-year history, one of Italy's most important wine dynasties, told through 7 key wines.
So the takeaway is about
That long-term vision, the dedication to quality that defines those multi-generational wine families in places like Tuscany.
it's a neat way to track Tuscan wine's evolution, understand the pioneering spirit like the Antinorists driving the Super Tuscan movement, modernizing Italian wine.
And structuring it around specific wines makes the history feel really accessible, engaging.
So for Assam working with Italian wines,
It provides this deep, nuanced understanding of Tuscany, which is pretty essential.
the personal stories behind the wines, the family legacy that adds authenticity you can share with guests.
Right. And it shows that balance between respecting tradition and embracing innovation, which is always relevant in wine.
Okay, one more a biography this time.
Tilar J. Mazeo's The Widow Clicquot. The amazing story of Barb Nicole Clicquot Ponsardin.
The woman who built Veuve Clicquot into what it is today.
Exactly. Turned a small family winery into a global champagne powerhouse. The key insight, the impact of vision, resilience, innovation, even against huge odds in creating a lasting brand.
It's an inspiring story.
It really is. The book covers her journey building the empire, including developing key techniques like riddling.
That process for clarifying champagne, still used today.
Right. So from a song's perspective, her story is just incredibly powerful and engaging.
Adds so much depth when pouring Veuve Clicquot or other champagne.
Understanding the history, the pioneers behind iconic wines, it just enriches the whole thing. And her marketing genius, her export strategies, they offer insights into how luxury wines get positioned globally.
Wow. Okay, so we've journeyed through these, 12 essential books. It's really clear how much knowledge and insight they pack in for anyone serious about wine.
Yeah, from foundational learning and visuals to history, personal stories, modern trends, it's a broad spectrum.
And it's cool to see how they connect, isn't it?
Totally. Like you see how the World Atlas gives the geographical context for the kind of terroir wines Kermit Lynch seeks out.
Or how the authenticity issues raised in Billionaire's Vinegar echo in the global market dynamics of Thirsty Dragon.
They really do build on each other, enrich each other.
So think about how you, listening, might apply some of this. Maybe John Bonja rules make your next wine purchase feel less daunting.
Or perhaps Kermit Lynch's storytelling inspires how you share wine with friends.
Maybe the talk about natural wine sparks some curiosity to try something new.
Yeah. So maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Go for it.
In a world just flooded with information, these books feel like, curated journeys. They go right to the heart of wine.
Not just facts, but perspectives, stories.
A deeper connection to this drink that's captivated people for centuries. So the question is, what aspect of the wine world, sparked by our chat today, are you going to explore next?